Hello. Today we are going to truly dive into the depths of hell. My teenage Tumblr years. Oh wait, this is embarrassing. I'm not even in uniform.
It's about time you got here!
Did we really let these adult men wear Sharpie on their face for our entertainment? Don't get me wrong, I love this parasocial thing we got going here, but I don't love y'all that much. Also, my roommates are home, and frankly, I don't even know what kind of explanation I can give that'll make them understand. But as I was saying, between the years of 2014 to 2016, I was fully immersed in Tumblr shipping cultures. Some of my favorites included John Locke, of course. Frodo and Sam, a bit of a deeper cut, but I think still valid. Steve and Bucky, still stand behind this. And of course, today's topic, Dan and Phil. If you're not familiar with these two, I'm gonna guess you weren't an introverted, closeted femme person, and you probably never used AO3. You lucky bastard.
Imagine, Dan and Phil come to the orphanage where you live. I want her, Dan says. I don't know, she's kinda ugly, says Phil. Phil, it's what's on the inside that counts. They adopt you.
Dan Howell and Phil Lester are two British YouTubers who initially started their channels long before being a YouTuber was even considered a career. Which means they were what? Uploading for fun? Couldn't be me, I'm only here until my goose coin takes off. Phil first started uploading in 2006 and Dan in 2009, much to the encouragement of Phil. So I guess it's you, Phil, who has to answer for this war crime.
Hi. So, my name is Dan. I mean, I've kind of always wanted to be somebody that posts videos, but I guess I've never really had the confidence or the motivation. But that was until some really good friends I've made recently persuaded me to give it a shot. But yeah, I am going to try my best to at least attempt to be entertaining.
These two origin stories are rarely discussed separately, since they soon became close friends and moved in together in 2011.
Hey Dan, so do you maybe want to live together this year?
Yeah, alright. Smile.
And since then, almost all of their most known work are collaborations between the two. Of course, the traditional YouTube collabs on each other's channel, Dan and Phil Games, and my favorite, Dan and Phil Crafts. But there's even more: presenting, books, tours, a radio show, and even a YouTube Red series. But I know none of you actually care about all this. What you really want to know is, are they sharing sweet, sweet kisses in the late of night when no one is around? The public demands to know. Yes, I would say Dan and Phil, or Phan, as they are more formally known, are best known for their fandom, which is the source of a wide array of discourse, edits, fan fictions, and aggressive infighting theorizing over possible romantic relationships between these boys.
Do the Dan question. Sorry, I mean bottom. Glares. I got that. Not appropriate. Lamau, Phil tops. She got my fan joke. I don't even care that I got detention for it. And I know you may think this is fake, but this is actually true. I was the bottom.
Many fans are convinced that the two have been romantically involved, and although the fandom began to quietly die out over the past few years, it saw a major reignition in 2019 when both came out as gay, and again in 2021 when the two bought their house together, you know, as platonic friends do. On Tumblr, the fan tag was used as early as January 2011, but it's hard to trace that origin exactly because a fair amount of this was actually about the original beauty guru, Michelle Phan herself. Side note, Michelle Phan was the first person to teach me that you put light color in your inner corner to make your eyes look bright, and it like blew my mind when I was 12. The first Dan and Phil fic on AO3 anyways was posted on March 26th of 2011, but the fandom remained quite small on the site until somewhere in 2014-2015. By 2012, this small group was starting to take off. We began to see the emergence of fan blogs who were hyper-focused on proving the two were really a couple.
Let's start with the most obvious of the poofs, the bed. Do you see this? There is not a single wrinkle on that damn bed. Dan did not sleep there. If you noticed, Dan is on his right side of the bed, but in all videos he films himself, he is on the left side. Phil sleeps on the right side. They tried to pull a fast one on me in Day in the Life London, but I am smarter than them. Here, Dan mentions sleeping with the fan.
Yeah, that's great at night when I'm trying to sleep next to it.
But in a vlog filmed by Beardmaster Catrific, the fan is left on the left side of Phil's bed. Let's not forget when Dan wore Phil's boxers and t-shirt in a video.
I got some really cool boxer shorts, which I wanted to show you.
Dan said they both had a pair of the same underwear.
Okay, in that one video, I have the same pair of underwear as Phil. We both walked into Next and saw a pair of Sonic underwear, and we had an argument over who should buy it, so we both own the same pair of underwear. And for that one video, I borrowed his Baby Cakes t-shirt because everything I own is black, and I wanted to not look boring.
But instead of showing the poof, they said Phil's pair of underwear shrunk so he doesn't have it. Why did he need Phil's shirt? It's perfectly fine for friends to share clothes, but they tried so hard to cover it up with flimsy excuse I can't believe.
And Dan especially was, understandably, incredibly uncomfortable with this.
Thanks for assuming that, but no, I do have other friends. I mean, think about it. When are me and Phil together? When I make a video with him. And how often may I make a video that might include Phil? Every 3 weeks. So, you know, I'm not with him every single day. I have other friends that I socialise with. But, you know, when I make a video, then there is a chance that I'll probably film it at Phil's house just because he's another YouTuber and it's easy. So, you know.
Of course, we now have the benefit of hindsight to know that he was closeted at the time and still was very much struggling with his own identity. And I can only imagine how hard it must be to be questioning that all internally and then having your sexual orientation just be so much of your public persona without ever asking for it to be. He continued to deny any romantic relationship between them, said that he was straight, and he even briefly tried to separate his brand from Phil, seemingly just to quell the shipping hysteria.
It doesn't annoy me because I know that there's a lot of different people with varying levels of intelligence and age and anything on the internet, so people will just say different things, but we're not the only people that have the problem. You know, like Charlie and Alex, you go to a video with them together, it's going, I like Charlie better, I like Alex better. It's the same with any YouTube friends. I think with me and Phil, like, we're not Dick and Dom, we're not Ant and Dec, we're not Smosh, we're not OMFG, it's Jack and Dean. I'm Dan, he's Phil. We're friends, we live together, but we're separate people. You know what I mean? So, you know, you can like us both, but we're not a double act. You know what I mean? I don't think we want to be a double act because we like just being friends and individuals, but it doesn't annoy me. I could never get annoyed at the internet.
I remember how scary it was to have like 1 or 2 people ask if I was gay when I was a kid. I can't imagine having to deal with thousands upon thousands of people asking you that when you're not ready to talk about it. From this point forward, Dan and Phil would only address fan culture briefly in Tumblr videos or collabs, and the tone was much lighter.
Phil goes to pull away, but Dan tightens his grip. Their bodies collide as Dan grinds his soft skin into Phil's tender and rough form.
I sound like an onyx.
Dan pecks his lips, but diverts his attention to a strip of skin peeling from Phil's neck. Phil closes his eyes as Dan takes the end of it between his teeth and pulls it away fluidly.
No more.
Maybe I lied about you not needing sun cream, Dan moans, guiding Phil's sore hands to his already hard. Nope.
They treated it more as a meme within their fan community and wouldn't actually go out of their way to confirm or deny it.
Do you want to mount me again?
Stop everything.
Let's go.
And between 2013 to 2015, the boys only got more popular. So of course, there was even more fan speculation, and it was getting much more complicated. I'm talking analyzing body language, single frames of YouTube videos, hotel floor plans, and so much more. Dan and Phil were actually one of the most reblogged ships on Tumblr, and they stayed in that place until 2018 when they were knocked down to number 3 by Raylo. You can't beat an enemies to lovers trope. But with the rapid rise of the ship, there was of course controversy. You know, it's Newton's third law of motion. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. For each person who vehemently believed that the relationship between these two was deeply romantic, there were equally vocal antis, or fanties, if you will. I don't know why fanties sounds like a slur, but it doesn't sound comfortable coming out of my mouth. And these fanties were equally passionate and dedicated to systematically proving that the two were not a couple. And of course, most people didn't necessarily fall strictly into one group or the other. There were a lot of people in the middle who, especially upon the release of the amazing book Is Not on Fire, began to spark accusations that Dan and Phil had only relaxed on the shippers to drive up fan engagement. In other words, they were accused of queerbaiting. If you don't know, queerbaiting is a marketing technique for fiction and entertainment in which creators hint at but then do not actually depict either same-sex romance or other LGBT representation. And it's not uncommon to hear these terms thrown around when you look at pieces of media that were especially popular with Tumblr fans. Shows like Supernatural and Sherlock knew their fans wanted queer content, and they wanted to keep those fans engaged. But God forbid they show a man having an actual romantic feelings for another man. And even if a gay man dared to identify themselves, they would soon be sent off to forever hell. Sorry, spoilers for Supernatural, but y'all had your time. And additionally, by 2016, some members of the fandom were beginning to question where the line exactly was between shipping these two and just plain queer fetishization. And once again, because Dan and Phil had sort of taken on this ship as a meme within their own fan base, how much were Dan and Phil also playing into these harmful stereotypes around queer men? And when their largely young female audience began to grow up and gradually lost interest, the two slowed up on uploads, and the fandom quietly went into hibernation. That is, until June of 2019. Dan is the first to officially address his sexuality and confirms that there was some level of romantic relationship between him and Phil.
This is when, through the magic of the internet, I met Phil. And obviously we were more than friends, but it was more than just romantic. This is someone that genuinely liked me. I trusted them, and for the first time since I was a tiny child, I actually felt safe. And the relationship we formed at that point was something that I needed in my life. We are real best friends, companions through life, like actual soulmates. It's so lucky to just find someone you can be that compatible with. And I bet so many people want to know so much more about that, which honestly, I'm somebody that wants to keep the details of my personal life private. So is Phil.
Phil quickly followed suit, but it's important to note that neither of them even implied that the two were currently dating or gave us any more details really beyond this is how they identify, and some of the speculation was not unfounded.
And we love working together, so when all these opportunities came for Dan and Phil, we were really excited, but I was also scared as people clearly knew I wasn't straight, and I hadn't told my family that. None of my old friends knew about this, and what me and Phil had was ours and personal, and yet some people were trying to get access to it for their own satisfaction. It was no longer a few people on the internet, no big deal, so I just shut down. Most, I'm sure, just wanted what was best for me, and I feel such genuine sadness, and I'm sorry that I couldn't be closer to and more truthful with the people in my life that were just trying to be nice, but I wasn't ready to deal with it at this time, so I had to do something to contain it. I definitely sent some mixed messages. Some were just joking around, others were super defensive that in my panic came across like, I'm now telling everyone I'm totally straight, when all I really meant was, please fuck off and don't invade my privacy, you creepy stalkers, thank you.
And again, it begs the question as to why these two felt the need to address the ship between the two and the role that fan fiction and the fan community had played in their sexual identity. Something that I would hope would be entirely separate from their fan relationships. What made these Victorian ghost boys so popular with young female audiences that there was countless fanfiction dedicated to them. Fanfiction is certainly not a new phenomenon. In fact, before the emergence of copyright law, it was incredibly common for authors to pull characters from other literary works and take their own spin on it. Slash fiction, being male/male romantic relationships in fanfiction, date back as far back as the 1960s, with Trekkies publishing countless stories in fan magazines dedicated to the space husbands. Now, unfortunately, Will Shatner did confirm that Kirk was written as a straight man, which, okay sir, you are on a space show that used this chihuahua as an alien, so it's not that serious. Nevertheless, fan fiction has grown to rival even traditional fiction. Works like 50 Shades of Grey, After, Mortal Instruments, are among some of the most popular works we have, fanfiction or not, and they're all flawless media with no discourse or criticism dedicated to them whatsoever. Because in traditional fiction, an author has to work to make you care about the protagonists and their relationships, whereas fan work plays on the already existing demand to see these people or characters in certain scenarios that may not have been depicted the way they wanted to in the original medium. Now, fans are a diverse group of people, but I would say overwhelmingly the most engaged group of fans are young, feminine, and incredibly versed in internet culture. Because a lot of these fans were found on Tumblr and AO3, it's not unlikely that a larger than typical proportion of these fans were queer or otherwise a part of the alphabet mafia. So why were tween girls obsessed with, in some cases, men who were decades older than them? Now, there's several theories to answer this, and it's likely a combination of all of these things, none of these things, or something in between. There's so much gay fanfiction because there's just too many men. This is less applicable for fans specifically, but if we look at popular ships from franchises like Lord of the Rings or the MCU, they're overwhelmingly male plus male ships, and not so coincidentally, their franchises are overwhelmingly male characters. And even when there are female characters, they're typically not given the sort of depth and complexity chemistry that male characters have. So in some cases, it just makes sense to ship two guys together because who else are you gonna ship them with? I mean, Frodo and Smeagol have chemistry, but I don't know, it's not the same. Now, of course, Dan and Phil are real people, so this metaphor doesn't quite work in the same sense, but we didn't see anybody around Dan and Phil have that same level of friendship that the two had. And really, any of the women that would be featured on their channels just did not compare to the relationship between the two, even if we are just assuming that they're totally platonic friends. And also, like I mentioned before, a not insubstantial portion of the fan base grew up to identify as queer. So in many ways, this rise in fan fiction and shipping likely stemmed from a desire to see themselves represented. After all, Hollywood has like Neil Patrick Harris, that's about it. And he plays like a straight predator most of the time anyway, so. Next, shipping, queer or not, generates its own unique community. It may be that over time it became less about Dan and Phil, the people themselves, and more about fan shippers being able to express their romantic desires together in ways that weren't judged. And of course, another theory that always has to make its appearance, internalized misogyny. Yeah, it's easier to imagine romantic fantasies without women because then we don't have to deal with how women should or shouldn't be perceived in these romantic relationships. And yeah, maybe, just maybe, some of this was a little bit of queer fetishization. Maybe Phan was to some teenage girls the way girls at Hooters are to middle-aged men. There are some studies that show that women who enjoy gay corn feel safer and less threatened because women don't have to fear a gay man's desires in the same way they do a straight man. It's easier to infantilize them and project a level of innocence that we don't necessarily give to other people. And although shipping is generally harmless, you can see how any of these combinations can take a real toll on people, especially when they're already struggling on their own to figure out who they are and how they feel. Shipping in fan fiction often gets a very surface level, one-note level of criticism, which I'm sure is in part because this is overwhelmingly directed at the young female writers and audience who enjoy this culture the most. And teenage girls are not allowed to like things, but maybe instead of discounting the entire community, fanfiction and shipping deserves to be held to the same standard as traditional media. Fanfiction readers and writers deserve to have work which represents real and healthy relationship dynamics, which are often lacking in a lot of fanfiction. Don't look up the hatfic, please. Also, we have enough homophobic stereotypes in our traditional media. We don't need to see them projected out in fanfiction either. Moreover, cis straight people, in this case mostly women, need to understand that simply shipping two men doesn't make you an ally. Gay men aren't puppies or jokes, and in the case of Dan and Phil, they are very much real people with real feelings. Honestly, I'm bi, and even I fell into the trap of going, ooh, ooh, boys when I was young. So I hope those in the fandom can learn and grow the way that I did. I don't know why I chose to drink kombucha while filming this because I know it makes me burp, but I just can't stop myself. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this quick little discussion, and please feel free to add to it in the comment section below. And I also just want to take the point out that this is not a video meant to speculate on whether Dan and Phil are in a relationship or anything like that. They get enough of that on the internet, and they've made it very clear that they don't want to disclose it to us, and that's their right. So if you are going to comment, just please be respectful of their wishes and let's set some respectful boundaries. But anyways, hope you all have a lovely day. I'm glad I didn't use Sharpie and this is eyeliner, so hopefully this comes off my face easily. If you like this video, feel free to like, and if you like me, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye!